Okay, so this is the DAF for April 5th, 2025. We're in Sanhedrin 109. At the end of 108, we started talking about Nahum ish Gamzu. So I'm going to start at the end of 108. It says, apropos Abraham's miraculous weapons, the Gemara relates, Nahum ish Gamzu was accustomed that in response to any circumstance that arose in his regard, he would say, this too, or Gamzu is for the best. Gamzu is for the best. One day the Jewish people sought to send a gift to the emperor, and they said, with whom shall we send a gift? And they decided, we will send it with Nahum ish Gamzu, as he is he is experienced in miracles. We're in 109 now. So when he reached a certain lodging, he sought to sleep there. The residents of that lodging said to him, what do you have with you? Nahum said to them, I am taking the head tax to the emperor. They rose in the night, opened his chest, took everything that was in it, and filled the chest with dirt. When he arrived there in Rome, the earth was discovered in his chest. The emperor said, the Jews are mocking me by giving me this gift. They took Nahum out to kill him. Nahum said, this too is for the best. Elijah the prophet came, and it appeared to them as one of Nahum's traveling party, or one of the people in the court. And Elijah said to them, perhaps this earth is from the earth of Abraham our forefather, who would throw dust and it became swords, and who would throw straw and it became arrows. They examined the dust and discovered that it was indeed the dust of Abraham. There was a province that the Romans were unable to conquer, and they threw some of this earth upon the province, and they conquered it. In appreciation for the gift that Nahum ish Gamzu had brought on behalf of the Jewish people, they brought him into the treasury and said, take that which is preferable to you. He filled his chest with gold. When he returned to that lodging, those residents said to him, what did you bring to the king's palace? Nahum said to them, what I took from here, I brought to there. The residents concluded that the earth with which they filled the chest had miraculous properties. So they took earth and brought it to the emperor. Once the Romans discovered that the earth was ineffective in battle, they executed those residents. The Mishnah teaches that the members of the generation of the dispersion have no share in the world to come. The Gemara asks, what sin did they perform? Their sin is not explicitly delineated in the Torah. The school of Rabbi Shelah say that the builders of the Tower of Babel said, we will build a tower and ascend to heaven, and we will strike it with axes so that its waters will flow. They laughed at this explanation in the West, in Eretz Yisrael, and asked, if that was their objective, let them build a tower on a mountain. Why did they build it specifically in the valley? In Genesis 11, verse 2. Notice that this is the Talmud Bavli. Notice that they didn't say that in the east that they laughed. It says, rather, Rabbi Yomi bar Elazar says they divided into three factions. One said, let us ascend to the top of the tower and dwell there. And that's because they're from Babylonia, but I think that there's an important idea there. So one said, let us ascend to the top of the tower and engage in idol worship. And one said, let us ascend to the top of the tower and wage war. With regard to that faction that said, let us ascend to the top of the tower and dwell there, God dispersed them. And one faction that said, let us ascend and wage war, became apes, spirits, and demons, and female demons. And actually, Islam still teaches, I think, that same idea. And with regard to that faction that said, let us ascend to the top of the tower and engage in idol worship, it is written, because there the Lord confounded the language of all the earth. Genesis 11:9. So it is taught in a Baraita. Rabbi Natan says, all of those factions intended to build a tower for the sake of idol worship. It is written here, quote, and let us make a name for us. Genesis 11, verse 4. And it is written there, quote, and make no mention of the name of other gods. Exodus 23:13. Just as there the connotation of name is idol worship, so too here the connotation of name is idol worship. Rabbi Yochanan says the uppermost third of the tower was burned. The lowermost third was swallowed into the earth. The middle third remained intact. Rav says the atmosphere of the tower causes forgetfulness. Anyone who goes there forgets what he learns. As a result of the building of the tower, forgetting was introduced into the world. Rav Yosef says Babylonia and the adjacent place, or Bersif, are each a bad omen for Torah. They cause one to forget his knowledge. The Gemara asks, what is the meaning of Borsif? Rabbi Asi says it is an abbreviation of empty pit, or Bor Shafi. And don't think that they forgot their language because their languages were confused. It wasn't that they forgot them. But they're saying that the vicinity of that tower causes forgetfulness. Not that their languages were forgotten. So the Mishnah teaches the people of Sodom have no share in the world to come. The sages taught the people of Sodom have no share in the world to come, as it is stated, quote, and the men of Sodom were wicked and sinners before the Lord exceedingly. Genesis 13:13. So wicked indicates that in this world, and sinners indicates for the world to come. Rabbi Yehuda says wicked is referring to sins they committed with their bodies, and sinners is referring to sins they committed with their money. So wicked is referring to sins they committed with their bodies, as it is written with regard to Yosef and the wife of Potiphar, quote, "And how can I do this great wickedness and sin against God?" Genesis 39, verse 9. And sinners is referring to sins they committed with their money, as it is written, "In your eye is wicked against your poor brother, and you give him nothing, for etc., for it shall be reckoned to you as a sin." Deuteronomy 15, verse 9. Quote, "Before the Lord," this is referring to blessing, or a euphemism for cursing God. Exceedingly means that they had intent and sinned and did not sin unwittingly or driven by lust. So the word there, exceedingly, is ma'od. So it is taught in a Baraita, wicked, or ra'im, is referring to sins they committed with their money, and sinners, chata'im, is referring to sins they committed with their bodies. Wicked is referring to sins they committed with their money, as it is written, quote, "In your eye is wicked against your poor brother, and you give him nothing," Deuteronomy 15:9. And sinners is referring to sins they committed with their bodies, as it is written with regard to Yosef and the wife of Potiphar, the sin against God, Genesis 39, verse 9. Quote, "Before the Lord," this is referring to blessing, or a euphemism for cursing God. Exceedingly, or ma'od, is referring to bloodshed, as it is stated, "Moreover, Manasseh shed very much blood," or ma'od. The sages taught with the people of Sodom, the people of Sodom became haughty and sinned due only to the excessive goodness that the Holy One, blessed be He, bestowed upon them, and what is written concerning them, indicating that goodness. "As for the earth, out of it comes bread, and underneath it is turned up as it went, and underneath it is turned up as it were by fire. Its stones are the place of sapphires, and it has dust of gold. That path no bird of prey knows, neither has the falcon's eye seen it. The proud beasts have not trodden it, nor has the lion passed thereby." Job 28, 5-8. The reference is to the city of Sodom, which was later overturned, as it is stated thereafter, "He puts forth his hand upon the flinty rock, he overturns the mountains by the roots." Job 28, verse 9. The people of Sodom said, "Since we live in a land from which bread comes and has the dust of gold, we have everything that we need. Why do we need travelers, as they come only to divest us of our property? Come, let us cause the proper treatment of travelers to be forgotten from our land." As it is stated, "He breaks open a watercourse in a place far from inhabitants, forgotten by pedestrians. They are dried up, they have moved away from men." Job 28, verse 4. So just as they said that they no longer wanted travelers through their land, or immigrants or anything like that, that was brought upon them measure for measure, and nobody treads the ground. It's all buried in water and salt. So Rava taught, what is the meaning of that which is written? How long will you seek to overwhelm a man? You will all be murdered like a leaning wall or a tottering fence. Psalms 62, verse 4. This teaches that the people of Sodom set their sights on property owners. They would take one and place him alongside an inclined, flimsy wall that was about to fall and push it upon him to kill him, and then they would come and take his property. Rava taught, what is the meaning of that which is written? In the dark they dig through houses. By day they shut themselves up. They know not the light. Job 24, verse 16. This teaches that they would set their sights on property owners. They would take one and they would give him balsam, whose smell diffuses, and the property owner will place it in the place where he keeps all his treasures. In the evening, the people of Sodom would come and sniff out like a dog and discover the location of the property owner's treasure. And they, as it is stated, quote, they return at evening, they howl like a dog and go round about the city. Psalms 59, verse 7. And after discovering the location, they would come and dig there, and they would take that property. So the Gemara cites verses that allude to the practices of people of Sodom. They lie at night naked without clothing, and they have no covering in the cold. Job 24, verse 7. And likewise, they drive away the donkey of the fatherless. They take the widow's ox as a pledge. Job 24, verse 3. And likewise, they trespass. They violently steal flocks and graze them. Job 24, 2. And likewise, quote, for he is brought to the grave, and watch is kept over his tomb. Job 21, 32. Rabbi Yoshi taught in Tzipori the methods of theft employed in Sodom. That night, 300 tunnels were excavated in Tzipori in order to employ those methods. Homeowners came and harassed them. They said to him, "You have given a way for thieves to steal." Rabbi Yoshi said to them, "Did I know that thieves would come as a result of my lecture? The Gemara relates, when Rabbi Yoshi died, the gutters of Tzipori miraculously overwhelmed with blood as a sign of his death. The people of Sodom would say, anyone who has one ox shall herd the city's oxen for 1 day. Anyone who does not have any oxen shall herd the city's oxen for 2 days. The Gemara relates, they gave oxen to a certain orphan, son of a widow, to herd. He went and took them and killed them. The orphan said to the people of Sodom, let anyone who has one ox take one hide, and let anyone who does not have an ox take 2 hides. The people of Sodom said to the orphan, what is the reason for this? The orphan said to them, the ultimate rule is parallel to the initial rule. Just as the initial rule is that anyone who has one ox shall herd the city's animals for 1 day, and anyone who does not have any oxen shall herd the city's animals for 2 days, so too the ultimate rule is let anyone who has one ox take one hide, and let anyone who does not have an ox take 2 hides. Furthermore, they declared in Sodom, let one who crosses on a ferry give 1 dinar as payment. Let one who does not cross on a ferry but walks in the river give 2 dinars. In addition, when there was anyone who had a row of bricks, each and every one of the people of Sodom would come and take 1 brick and say to him, I am taking only 1, and you are certainly not particular about so inconsequential an item, and they would do this until none remained. And when there was anyone who would cast garlic or onions to dry, each and every one of the people of Sodom would come and take and say to him, I took only 1 garlic or onion, and they would do this until none remained. There were 4 judges in Sodom. They were named for their actions. Shakrai, meaning liar, and Shakrurai, the habitual liar, and Zaphai, forger, and Matzle Dina, perverter of justice. These were the judgments that they rendered. In a case of one who strikes the wife of another and causes her to miscarry, they would say to the woman's husband, give the woman to the one who struck her so that she will be impregnated for you again. In a case of one who severed the ear of another's donkey, they would say to the owner of a donkey, give the donkey to the one who caused the damage until the ear grows back. In a case of one who wounds another, they would say to the injured party, give the one who wounded you a fee as he let your blood, like bloodletting. And they instituted an ordinance. One who crossed the river on a ferry gives 4 dinars, and one who crossed the river in the water gives 8 dinars. One time a certain launderer came and arrived there. The people of Sodom said to him, give 4 dinars as payment for the ferry. He said to them, I crossed in the water. They said to him, if so, give 8 dinars as you crossed in the water. He did not give the payment, and they struck him and wounded him. He came before the judge to seek compensation. The judge said to him, give your assailant a fee as he let your blood, and 8 dinars as you cross the river in the water. Eliezer, servant of Avraham, happened to come there, and they wounded him. He came before the judge to seek compensation. The judge said to him, give your assailant a fee as he let your blood. He took a stone and wounded the judge. The judge said, what is this? Eliezer said to him, the fee that is to be paid to me by you, give it to that person who wounded me, and my money will remain where it remains. The Gemara continues to discuss the sins of the people of Sodom. They had beds on which they would lay their guest. When a guest was longer than the bed, they would cut him, and when the guest was shorter than the bed, they would stretch him. Eliezer, servant of Abraham, happened to come there, and they said to him, come lie on the bed. He said to them, I took a vow that since the day my mother died, I do not lie on a bed. When a poor person would happen to come to Sodom, each and every person would give him a dinar, and the name of the giver was written on each dinar, and they would not give or sell him bread, so that he could not spend the money and would die of hunger. When he would die, each and every person would come and take his dinar. This is what the people of Sodom stipulated among themselves. Whoever invites a man to a wedding, his cloak will be removed. There was this wedding, and Eliezer, servant of Abraham, arrived there, and they did not give him bread. When he sought to dine, Eliezer came and sat at the end behind everyone. They said to him, who invited you here? He said to the one sitting next to him, you invited me. That man said to himself, perhaps they will hear that I invited him, and they will remove the garment of that man, referring to himself. The one who sat next to him took his cloak and ran outside. And likewise Eliezer did the same for all of them until they all left, and he ate the meal. There was a young man who would take bread out to the poor people in a pitcher, so the people of Sodom would not see it. The matter was revealed, and they smeared her with honey and positioned her on a wall of the city, and the hornets came and consumed her. And that is the meaning of that which is written. And the Lord said, because the cry of Sodom and Gomorrah is great, or Rabbah, Genesis 18:20. And Rav Yehuda says that Rav says Rabbah is an allusion to the matter of the young woman, Riva, who was killed for her act of kindness. It is due to that sin that the fate of the people of Sodom was sealed. The Mishnah teaches, the spies who spread an evil report of their visit to Canaan have no share in the world to come, as it is stated, and those men who spread the evil report about the land died by plague before the Lord. Numbers 14:37. And died indicates in this world, and by plague indicates for the world to come. The members of the assembly of Korach have no share in the world to come, as it is stated, and the earth closed upon them. Numbers 16:33, meaning in this world, and also, and they perished from among the assembly. Numbers 16:33, meaning in the world to come. This is the statement of Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Eliezer says about the assembly of Korach, the verse states, the Lord kills and makes alive. He lowers to the grave and raises. 1 Samuel 2:6, indicating that the assembly of Korach has a share in the world to come. And the sages taught in Braita, Tosefta 13:9, the members of the assembly of Korach have no share in the world to come, as it is stated, quote, in the earth closed upon them, Numbers 16:33, meaning in this world, and also, and they perished from among the assembly, 16:33, meaning in the world to come. And this is the statement of Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Yehuda ben Betera says, although it says that they perish, they are like a lost item that is sought, ultimately found, and rehabilitated, as it is stated, I have gone astray like a lost sheep. Seek out your servant, for I do not forget your mitzvot. Psalms 119, 176. Apropos Korach, the Gemara proceeds to interpret the verses written concerning him. It says, quote, in Korach, son of Izhar, son of Kohath, son of Levi, took Vayikach, Numbers 16:1. Reish Lakish says he purchased, or Lakach, a bad acquisition for himself, as though his actions he drove himself from the world. The name Korach alludes to the fact that because of him a void, or Korcha, was created in the children of Israel. Son of Izhar is referring to a son who incited the wrath of the entire world upon him like the heat of the afternoon. Son of Kohath was referring to a son who blunted the teeth of his parents, that is, he shamed them with his conduct. Son of Levi is referring to a son who became an escort, or Levaya in Gehenna. The Gemara asks, but if Korach's lineage is being interpreted despairingly, why not let the Torah also include son of Jacob, or Yaakov, and interpret it a son who contorted, or sha'akav, himself until he reached Gehenna? Rav Shmuel bar Rav Yitzchak says, Jacob prayed for mercy for himself, that his name would not be included in the lineage of Korach, as it is stated, let my soul not come into their council, to their assembly, let my honor not be united. Genesis 49, verse 6. Let my soul not come into their council. These are the spies. Jacob prayed that his name would not be mentioned in their regard. Quote, to their assembly, let my honor not be united. This is referring to the assembly of Korach. The Gemara proceeds to interpret the names of Korach's cohorts. Datan and Abiram, the sons of Eliav, and On, the son of Pelet, the sons of Reuven. Numbers 16:1. Datan is one who violated the precepts, or dat, of God. Abiram is one who braced, or Eber himself from repenting. And On indicates one who sat in acute mourning, aninut, over the sin that he committed, and he repented and was spared. Pelet is one for whom wanderers, or Pelaot, were performed. Son of Reuven is the son who saw and understood Ra'ah, the Hevin, the nature of what was transpiring, and repented. The Havin. Rav says, On, son of Pelet, did not repent on his own. Rather, his wife saved him. She said to him, what is the difference to you? If this master, Moses, is the great one, you are the student. And if this master, Korach, is the great one, you are the student. Why are you involving yourself in this matter? On said to her, what shall I do? I was one of those who took counsel, and I took an oath with them that I would be with them. She said to him, I know that the entire assembly is holy, as it is written, for all the assembly is holy, Numbers 16, verse 3. And they observe the restrictions of modesty. She said to him, sit, for I will save you. She gave him wine to drink and caused him to become drunk, and laid him on a bed inside their tent. She sat at the entrance of the tent. And then it goes on and continues in Daf 110. So this is the end of 109. Thanks for listening. We're almost at the end of Sanhedrin. It ends in 113. We're going to have a siyum on Wednesday. So thanks for watching.